Good afternoon, I'm Melissa Cabuzzi, Chair of the Orange County Partnership. Today is Tuesday, July 15th. Time is 4:01. We are in the conference room with the Orange County Partnership at 40 Matthews Street, Goshen, New York. This is a public meeting and is being live streamed. Notice of this meeting was published in accordance with the New York Open Meetings Law. We're going to start today a little differently with new business. We have an item under new business that requires board action. The Governance Committee has evaluated Michael O'Connor, Director of New Business, Orange and Rockland Utilities, as a candidate for Board of Directors. Michael's bio in the Governance Committee's evaluation was previously included on the board packet for your review prior to this meeting. Mary Beth, who's on our Governance Committee, is going to give us a little insight into Michael. Mary Beth.
Okay. Welcome everyone. So the Governance Committee met back a couple weeks ago to interview Mike O'Connor. For disclosure, we did not have a quorum of that committee. We could not find a day when everyone could be here, but we did have a great interview with him. Connor was present. In the run-up to that interview, we had created the board member candidate evaluation matrix that you see. It's kind of just a way to think about candidates and what role they may fill here on the board, give us some framework. We also had shared among our group some questions to share with the candidate. I will say the conversation was wide-ranging and the questions were really covered in the discussion. Mike comes to us with a background as a person who has implemented utility work over the course of many years. Not only with O&R, but goes back to pre-O&R, Consolidated Edison, and comes to us with a lot of skills. He's a very practical person. I think he'll bring good perspective. He's already been working with Connor on a number of Connor's opportunities that he's been working with, and Ryan Kurt have shared their thoughts on Mike as well. So prior to this meeting, the Governance Committee did meet and we did vote to recommend Mike for consideration for membership here on our board to the full board of the partnership.
Do I have a second? You made the motion, right?
Yes, so I'll make a motion that we accept Mike as a member of our board of directors.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Michael's been accepted. Michael is here today. And also, we do have a quorum. We failed to say to do a roll call, but we do have a quorum today. All present but one.
Ladies and gentlemen, Michael from Orange and Rockland, welcome.
How you doing, everybody?
Melissa Cabuzzi.
Nice to see you
How
guys.
you doing? Lisa, hello. What are you doing? How you doing, Michael?
Sarah, nice to meet you.
I'll come around. Or you want me just to sit? I don't know.
come
I don't
around.
know. Like to sit. Hello.
Good man. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Hi, Greg.
Nice to meet you.
Michael, put you right in the middle over there. I think
Sure.
Hold it with your name on it.
Do you prefer Mike or Michael?
I got this question asked last time I was here as well. Whatever you choose, doesn't matter to me.
Cool.
We said, what does your mother call you? We won't call you that.
That's a good one. That's about tone.
Exactly.
Depends on the day.
How she said it. Exactly. Well, welcome, Michael. We're happy to
Thank you
have
very
you
much.
here.
Yeah, happy to be here.
That's great. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting on May 20th that have been distributed to the members. Any comments or corrections? Would someone like to second the motion?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Next, Mary Beth to present our financial report.
Okay. There. So probably the most notable thing about this financial report that is different from our most recent discussions is that we did have an expense come up with respect to personnel, and that was the payment of our separation payment to our former CEO. And so that accounts for, if folks were wondering, kind of that significant deviation between what we had budgeted for the month of June and what we expended was that separation payment. So I think in future as we are working through and having kind of a more robust compensation program, we can avoid those types of surprises. In this case, this was how we chose to handle it as a group. So that's the most significant variance there. That then we go to the balance sheet, shows that our working capital is down a bit because we have expended that fund, but we still have a working capital ratio of 9.2 current assets to current liabilities. We have $9.2 for every $1 of current liabilities, which is a strong position. Our total checking and savings, again, is down 15.7% from last year. We have continued to have some expenses that were unbudgeted, including, not considered, including that separation payment. Our total accounts receivable is certainly in a better position than it has been in the past, a reduction over the past, so that's a positive statement. Our private investment is seeing a 4.2% increase. We are at $811,997.80 through June 30th, which is up from $779,025 to the same period last year. Our net ordinary income, which is our to assess our profitability, is separate from, shows a clear picture of our partnership's operations. The only difference between the two factors is our 2025 investment account activity. So we are through June 30th of 2025, our net ordinary income was $364,778.81, up from $119,651.43, which is a 204.9% increase in profitability from operations last year. The partnership is operating at a healthy 33.14% net profit margin. The Golf Classic this year raised gross revenue of almost $200,000 against expenses of just under $75,000 for a profit of about $127,000, which is a 63.65% gross profit percentage. And this is in line with the past year's Golf Classic. And the MVP dinner also had a gross profit of about $75,000, 56.18%. This is slightly lower than last year. However, we switched this, folks will recall, from a breakfast event, which is less expensive to put on, to a dinner event, which simply has a higher cost of food and other services. So that explains that difference. And I think that's everything for the summary. Financials.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Mary Beth on the financials? I'd like to make a motion that we accept, and thank you, Mary Beth, that we accept the treasurer's financial report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, motion carried. And thank you again, Mary Beth. Now we move on to Connor, our president's report.
Great. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming. Great to see attendance here. It's I think the last couple months we've seen some substantial activity by way of business development projects, administrative growth. So high level, I'll take you through what we've seen the past month or two. So on the administrative side, I'm happy to announce I've been appointed to the Governor's Mid-Hudson Regional Economic Development Council, which I think is important because it really keeps Orange County issues front and center from the state perspective. It keeps us involved with statewide strategic planning, and as an EDO, we're thinking regionally in a lot of ways. So it is a great collaborative voting board where you're working with Dutchess County and Rockland and other leaders in other markets, just to really look at a more cohesive economic development approach. I'm really excited about that. And then separately, I was appointed to the New York State Economic Development Council Board, which is our statewide trade association. So from Long Island to the Canadian border, there's economic developers on this board. So happy to represent Orange County on that, again, kind of broadening our statewide position in the economic development market. Additionally, and this was really important to us, we are investing in our people and really, really excited about what's happened in the last couple of months. So we have Rebecca Holst, who's our our great event director. She graduated Leadership Orange, which I think she got a ton out of. And if you haven't done it, I think most people around the table have. It's really a pretty dynamic leadership training program, and it gets you integrated into different pockets of the county that you might not have otherwise seen. And then separately, we sent Sarah, Lucas, and Cassie to the New York State Economic Development Council Economic Development course. So it's a 2-day specialty course. Sarah came back with a bundle of ideas that we're looking to implement. But it's Lucas's was invigorated, Cassie, and it's really unique because I took that maybe 6 years ago. And you are touching on economic development marketing, you're touching on organizational management, a little bit of fundraising, compliance, so it is a crash course on all these different verticals of economic development, so very happy that you guys got something out of that. Additionally, it looks like Lucas, our new Director of Business Attraction, is going to be appointed to the Orange County Community College Food Tech Board, and that is the training consortium for anything food and beverage manufacturing, and then also front office, frontline, hospitality-oriented training. So generally, there's an economic development presence on that board. So Lucas is going to fill that role. So very excited again about integrating our team in these different verticals. And we're going to talk a little bit about a new campaign that I think spun out of that EDC conference in a little bit. But the team has certainly been on the move. Now, from the outreach, education, conferences perspective, a key vertical for us is traveling across the region, the county, and telling our story, telling who the partnership is, and the value we bring to not only our investors, but to the market. So we were at the New York State Economic Development Council annual meeting in May, where I served as a panelist on an attraction panel. We hosted a Taiwanese delegation shortly thereafter from Taipei, interested in investment opportunities in Orange County and the Hudson Valley, particularly in data centers and pharmaceutical manufacturing, all the things that Ryan and Mike get excited about at the utility level. So really unique foreign direct investment-centric delegation. I was able to moderate a panel at a real estate conference in Schenectady that was focused on the New York State wetland regulations. And it was kind of a unique, eclectic group because it was the New York State Association of Commercial Realtors who are very opinionated on this topic. Our panelists were engineers and Tony Luisi, who's moving up in the world from Hutch & Russ. So really dynamic discussion on, because that regulation changes the way we look at sites and the way we really develop our communities. Not just industrial or land sites, but housing, infill markets. These new regulations are, we need to grapple with them. We need to understand the way that they're gonna really change our perspective on how to approach economic development sites, particularly by way of buffers, by, now the DEC, if you used to be able to look at a map and you could tell if there was a wetland on that map. Today, those maps no longer exist. So even if it says there's no wetland on your property, you need to get the DEC to come in and make a jurisdictional determination, whether you're doing a 3-lot subdivision or whether you're doing a 1 million square foot industrial project. So it kind of changes the way we approach due diligence on properties. Also spoke at a West Point conference, and we're doing a lot of work with West Point increasingly in the innovation space and the Department of Defense technology space. I know, again, Central Hudson was active down there on infrastructure investment. But West Point, we're really kind of working to position them as a driver for innovation, and I think we have an angle to really work with them in a new capacity. And then lastly, so the governor instituted a program called Achieve, and that is a regional competition. So every regional council is putting forth a strategic plan to compete for what is $30 million in funding for individual regions, or if you collaborate multi-regions, $75 million. And that's to implement a strategic vision, whether it's site-focused, infrastructure, workforce training. So we're part of the group now, Mary Beth and I on the council, of crafting that vision for what the region should be applying for by way of this $30 million and trying to fund a real regional cohesive economic development approach. From an investor perspective, and then Mary Beth hit on it a bit in the financial report, so we really prioritize AR and being preemptive on it. So our team has been really aggressive in not just maintaining and building relationships, but chasing down AR. So, as compared to last year, we're 17% less on the AR than what it was, this time last year, which we're quite proud of. And from an investor perspective, this week alone, this week and last week combined, we are going to welcome around $50,000 in new investor revenue of all various sizes, from senior partner to your basic investor. So Aidenbrook came on at the senior partner level. Sean's Lawns, the lesser group, which is a real estate group, Superior Pack Group, which is corporate, entity in the county with 500 employees. And then we have 2 basic investors who are site work contractors. So really diverse group of investors, but we're seeing high retention rates. We're aggressive on AR, and we're bringing in new investor dollars, and really different groups too. It's really interesting to see the dynamics of the membership change, but very excited about our approach on business development. Marketing perspective, and Sarah's pinch hitting for Cassie today, but it's great that she's in the room. We put a marketing report in your packets. I'm happy to announce we got word yesterday that the partnership has won a marketing award by the American In-House Design Institute for our annual report. So congratulations to our dear Sarah. And that was a key KPI for us. We have amazing in-house design work by Sarah and great marketing minds. Let's start to populate that and socialize it across the state, and you win 1 for 1. I mean, certainly more to come. And then Sarah, if we could quickly touch on, while we have you here, you came back from the EDC conference, and we were looking at economic development, and we're saying, obviously it's site-centric, it's infrastructure-centric, it's labor profile-centric, but this talent attraction is critical in the new economic development world. So working with Sarah, and Sarah, I'll let you explain more, on a affiliated brand of the partnership that is focused on attracting and retaining talent by highlighting our quality of life assets, our main streets. Sarah, please give us a little bit.
Yeah, so basically, when I went to the conference, they said that a lot of economic developers have this second branch to their organization. And so we came up with this talent attraction campaign. We're working with AJ Ross Creative Media on a micro website for it. And then eventually we want to team up with tourism, the IDA, the Orange County government, and the chamber, and workforce upstairs, to try to get their different perspective, because there may be things that we don't know about that should be added to the website. But basically, instead of marketing to attract companies to come to Orange County, we're marketing to attract families and people to come to Orange County with hopefully a better knowledge and workforce. And then we're really going to be highlighting the colleges, the continuing education, quality of life.
And it's, when in the world of the corporate site selection, we're now getting requests from companies that are asking us about these quality of life assets, housing units under construction, and information on Main Street assets and tourism
and
assets.
School districts.
Yeah, which is new in industrial site selection. It was normally water, sewer, power, site, is entitled. Now it's these more unique assets that we should be preemptive on marketing. So brilliant idea by Sarah.
So Sarah, just a quick question, can that expand into what job openings are available in the
Yeah,
area?
so we want to eventually, as part of that microsite, team up with Here's Help, for example, and have a portal of job openings. So we won't have to maintain the job openings, but we can just link it to there for what's available.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I think that's the biggest problem, is how do you keep the workforce here and engaged and having a life that.
Yeah.
And then
balance.
and we want to include testimonials, not from the companies themselves, but from employers that are working at those companies, what they like about working there, what they like about living in Orange County, that kind of stuff. So we want to do little video snippets.
And then when you look at quality of life assets, I think about the projects that you finance in Village of Goshen, the 2 apartment buildings, the brick buildings as you leave the gateway. Those are assets that a young engineer, senior leadership at a company would want to tap into. There's walkability to the village. They're great units. Just thinking about how do we show these assets in a different way.
Good.
Great idea.
So additionally, we'll move to the event category again. Mary Beth gave a great overview. So MVP dinner, of course, was massive, and we switched it from what was traditionally breakfast to a dinner event. So we raised $48,000 more. Of course, our costs went up $40,000. Right, so our revenue is generally on par, a little bit better than the traditional MVP event, and the economics just changed. You mentioned the cost per plate went up significantly, and we even got that at probably a discount. The sponsorships, as now it's almost annual event level, you have to, if we're going to do a specialty cup sponsor, we order the cups, there's cost to that. So the dynamics of the economics changed. Highly successful event, just the dinner portion really changed the economics.
Tremendous amount of incredibly positive feedback particularly about the format,
Right.
the flow. The one thing I heard from people was a lot of people were going to sneak in at the end because they thought the program was at the end. So, we probably ought to like make sure people understand the format, so they show up when they need to.
Right, right. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
a lot of really positive feedback on the overall event and the flow, the timing, the food stations, all of, and particularly the ability to be outside.
Yeah.
We really, really, really
Yeah,
appreciated
yeah.
the ability to be
There was-
outside. Not that we all love each other, but 600 whatever people in
Some
our
fresh air.
places.
It's a nice change of
No, it
pace
was-
from the annual where you're kind of
Exactly,
excited.
exactly.
It was great momentum, and then Rebecca, who is our event director, is preemptively thinking about how to troubleshoot issues and
Yeah.
thinking about guest experience. So again, it just speaks to a really cohesive team, and Sarah, Rebecca, Cassie, everyone kind of thinking, how do we maximize, because we don't want to just go to an event to go to an event. You want to meet someone, you want to have a unique experience, and I think that's what our team is really curating.
So you and I have spoken a little bit about, are we gonna continue this format maybe going forward? What are you guys thinking? Because I know what we don't wanna do is compete against our annual event, making it as big as that, but at the same time, we got such positive feedback, and I think we can cut back some of those extra expenses that we did, cause this was a special event, to make it more cost effective in the long run, but I don't know how we ignore the positive feedback of really the timing of it, being able to go outside, people weren't rushing the breakfast, they're usually coming in, rushing out of
The
there.
music, the ice cream bar.
Somehow I missed that part.
Yeah, it was a nice touch. I think we'll have a discussion with Rebecca and Sarah on how to sequence these events, because that's the fear. We don't want to compete, because we go from golf to investor, or rather to MVP to annual, and then with QPMs in the middle. So how do we kind of sequence events so we're not competing with one another is the key question. But I agree that it felt different that event.
Right, it's hard to ignore the positive feedback, I'd say,
Yes.
of all of our
Yeah.
events, it was very, very strong.
Completely
Exactly.
agree.
Yeah.
And on that note, even the QPM we had, which was City Winery, we went from golf to MVP to QPM. That was the highest QPM attendance we had to date, so we had 160 people registered, 130 in attendance. And City Winery was great to work with, but again, you could feel the kind of momentum and excitement in the room for where the market's moving. ABG, so we're playing with a handful of topics, including focusing on activity within our three cities, Middletown, Port Jervis, and Newburgh. Really dynamic activity by way of housing, infrastructure, even light industrial. So really highlighting that, and even potentially having our three mayors, service panelists, to give an update on the state of their cities. Date semi-TBD, but that's really the topic we're zeroing in on. We have our investor breakfast coming up on October 7th, which again will be a banner event, and our keynote is secured. His name is Kartik Aritha, and he is the head of research and statistics at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. I've seen him speak a few times. He's dynamic. I think his information is it's macro, but also he brings it to the localized level, what it means for a small business, what it means for a large publicly traded bank or a construction company. So really dynamic speaker. We're very excited about that.
He's gonna be really marquee. We need to, obviously market the heck out of him.
Are you
because-
familiar?
Just through the name, I've read some of the things he's written. He kind of, I don't know he does these I'll call them position papers
Yep.
on different topics. Google them, worth reading, very easy to understand. It's not a lot of jargon,
Not at all. In
Which
fact, we can
is-
send some around.
which is really nice. Connor mentioned the name to me before, so I did a little bit of research and.
Yeah, I
And
think
Mike,
he's.
are you familiar with him?
Yeah, I've met him, actually I met him earlier this year after he spoke at the Federal Reserve, so I agree, he's a very easy to follow speaker, and I think the audience will like him.
And it's amazing. I've seen him speak before, where you can, like, any member of the audience can ask a question effectively about anything. He likes these Q&A oriented public speaking engagements. So they're talking about interest rates, and then someone asks a question about politics, and then to real estate, the state of the real estate market, and he can just hop around in a way I haven't seen before. So really excited to have him on board with us.
So speaking of that, are we gonna add a little component of Q&A? We haven't done that in the past.
So, have we ever had a microphone in the back for an event if someone wanted to participate? Because that probably could be something we could do.
It could be something we could do, yeah. We would just need a couple of them because it's so
To
big
cover
and so many
different
people.
quadrants of
Yeah.
I
And
think
maybe
we should
ask him if that's
utilize
something
that.
he's even interested in, doing that, if we do, 15 minutes or so of Q&A. That would be
Absolutely,
very
yeah.
interesting.
So more to come on that. We're gonna start marketing that probably August, to give ourselves some time.
Another way you can do, we did this once, I don't remember what event it was, we had, we posted a cell phone number up on the back. you could text your question to the cell phone, and then one person who was like a staff member had a microphone and just read the questions out loud. So you don't have to have the Phil Donahue running around the room kind of operation.
Right.
For those of us who remember Phil Donahue, you don't have to have that, but you can do the text your question to this number. The other thing that did was we got way more questions than we had time to answer.
Right.
Because people felt comfortable doing the old, like, here's my somewhat dumb question, but.
We do that as well, we just put a little QR code on the table,
Yeah.
you scan it, and then you
That's
just,
great.
at all of our like manager events, people can, type in a question, you can display them on the screen, and someone can filter them, so it goes to you
Yeah, you
first, so you
You
can.
do need the filtering.
Yeah, you can
operation.
filter it, it's alright,
To-
yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that sounds terrific.
Yeah, it gets a new link to
So that's a QR
Okay,
code.
yeah.
Yeah, you can either do the
Yeah.
text is very low tech, but as opposed to QR code, but.
Yeah, I think what we use is a free thing also.
Oh, is it free? Okay.
Yeah, it's great, because the way that the Reserve Bank of New York is viewing this is they're seeing it as a fact-finding mission for themselves. They want to understand the Hudson Valley market a little bit better. We're going to spend a day before and after the event kind of speaking to key business leaders and touring industrial sites. So they just want to get a sense for what's happening outside of New York City and really in the Hudson Valley, which I was excited about.
Great, that's great, excellent.
So then, of course, we roll into an October QPM at Newburgh Brewing. That's in October 21st. Of course, we have some lead time there. And then we roll into the annual event, to which we are already working on a video for our Spirit of Innovation, which is the ADG Architects, Atlas Security, Quality of Life. We interviewed both, working on videos. And then Golden Shovel to be determined. Of course, we have a couple projects in the hopper that we'll be able to choose from, hopefully by then. But moving ahead nicely with our annual event prep well in advance. And with that, that's my president's report. I'm happy to answer any questions, and if not,
And we want to go into executive session, correct? Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss pending real estate transactions. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, we are back from executive session. The time is now 5:07. No actions or votes were taken in executive session, therefore no minutes were taken. Okay, motion carried to come out of executive session. Industry updates, we're gonna bring back our industry updates at each board meeting. And what that means is we're gonna target one person from the board to talk about in the 2 to 3 minutes about their industry and how the market is locally and nationally, et cetera, and how their businesses are affected. So we're gonna start back in September. We're gonna restart that, and that's gonna be Kurt Kaler, you are first up in September. Talk about your business and
Yes,
so we'll start in
September.
September.
You don't have to do it
start
today.
okay. Not September yet.
Yeah, it feels like September.
That was great.
You wanna hear anything about Parika Electric and how is the industry locally?
Yeah.
And so appreciate that, and then Greg, you will be up for November,
Okay.
so thank you. Any old business? If we don't have any old business, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn this meeting. And a second,
Second.
all in favor?